Alright guys, I'll be looking at the anticoagulants that are not suitable for calcium, potassium, and high density lipoprotein cholesterol analytes. Okay, so let me say in a laboratory, you want to actually collect a blood sample and access for calcium, okay, and access for potassium and access for what? High density lipoprotein cholesterols, okay. So you might actually want to use an anticoagulant to preserve this blood, okay. So but there are some anticoagulants that if you want to access for calcium, you shouldn't use them. There are some anticoagulants that if you want to access for potassium, you shouldn't use them. There are some anticoagulants that if you want to access for um, high density lipoprotein cholesterol, you shouldn't use them. Do you understand? So basically, be looking at that. Uh, it was an exam question. So the question was like this: state with reason what anticoagulant you will not use for the following analytes. Okay, and the analytes will have calcium, high density lipoprotein cholesterols. We have what? Potassium. All right, so let's just go straight up. It's for calcium now. We did that sodium citrate binds calcium, and hence calcium is not free here. Okay, as it may reflect what? Hypokalemia if measurement is carried out on the specimen. So if you use the sodium citrate anticoagulant to preserve a specimen that you want to access for calcium, this anticoagulant actually binds sodium and does not leave sodium in free circulation. Do you understand? So you might get to report a false hypokalemia. Okay, and this is what sodium citrate, and basically see what sodium citrate, and it binds calcium in non-ionized form. Okay, so it will now what combine with calcium. That's what sodium citrate will now combine with calcium. All right, so you might report a false you might get to report a false hypokalemia. All right, we have the gel separator tube, and these gel separator tubes, they'll basically reduce what? High density lipoprotein cholesterol levels, okay? So you might not want to use a gel separator tube to access for what? High density lipoprotein cholesterol levels. All right, so this side you could see just like illustration of how gel separator tube is used. It's a gel separator. All right, you see serum, you see blood clots. All right, then we have what? Potassium ethylene diamine what? Tetraacetic anticoagulant. So this potassium ethylene diamine uh, tetraacetic anticoagulant tubes, they should not be used in what? Serum measurement of potassium, because they already have potassium. Okay, this K3 is actually kind of like with a hyphen, because normally in the EDTA we don't have potassium, but there's a special type of EDTA that actually has potassium. All right, and if you use it, it will increase potassium levels because the anticoagulant already has potassium. Do you understand? So it will increase potassium levels if you use it for specimen. All right, and if you want to actually access for potassium in that specimen, you might have what? A false increase in what? Potassium. Okay, so this A3, A3 EDTA. All right, so that's it, guys, and see you guys pretty soon.